Everyone would be so good. Well, in 2026.
All right, well, good afternoon. Welcome to Wesley, Des Moines. I'm Christine Tremaine. I'm Vice President of Marketing and New Project Development at Wesley, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you here today. You probably noticed that in the terrace, we have some construction going on. We just started today. We're renovating the auditorium and the dining room, and the result will be more of a performing arts center. So we're upgrading the lighting and the sound and the stage and the finishes in the room. Also, the dining experience is going to be a new dining experience with actually some. We're bringing the kitchen out so you can actually watch some of the cooking preparation as you dine in a newly renovated dining room. And our bistro is going to be also moved down to the end, and we'll have a expanded bistro and market down at the end of the hallway there. So really excited to see the new renovations. They are expected to be completed by August. So we've got some construction to contend with for the next 8 or 9 months. So anyway, so welcome to Wesley, Des Moines, the Terrace. It is really my pleasure to introduce our team here. Stacy Johnson is our Community Relations Director, Team Lead. This is Stacy's day number 2. And yeah. So I'm trying to share everything I know with her as much as I can, and supporting here at Des Moines for as long as she needs me. And then Jill Lance, who is holding everything all together as our marketing assistant here at Des Moines. She's just been superb and a huge help to me. So thank you to our Des Moines team. In supporting us today, Tessa Crepane, our executive assistant from Wesley, and we have adopted her into the marketing team. And Brent Rawls, who's our digital marketing specialist and has been with me now, how many years, Brent? Almost, I was going to say 5, but no, it's been double that, almost 10 years. And then Rachel Kirkman, I think, is probably online. We probably have Katrina Rodriguez online. But just really thank you to all of the team for keeping us going. And a really huge thank you to Kathy Kleber for all of the work that she's done in putting the Downsizers Club together. She and I are going to be talking about how we keep it going for next year. So keep an eye on that. And if you've missed any of the events that we've done, you can always go back online. You know what I do? I just go up to the search and I say Downsizer, and it brings me to the page with all of the recordings from the Downsizer program this year. So go to wesleychoice.org, Downsizer, and you'll see all the recordings. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Kathy, and we'll wrap this year up. Here you go.
Thank you so much. Hard to believe this is our 12th issue or 12th event of the Downsizers Club, and the binder started getting so full. Gina, will you bring the binder up here, the one that we have in-house right now? How many of you guys have your binder that are in the room today? Okay, so quite a few of you are not raising your hands. How many of you do not have a binder? All right, where have you been? So I want you to know that we are still producing the binders And they will have all of the content of the 12 months. But for those of you who've been watching online or are watching online today, you have access to all the PowerPoint material that's in this binder. Now, I mean, here we are, we're downsizing you and we're giving you stuff. In fact, the first event that we did, I was giving coffee mugs to the community relations director up in Bradley Park. And the first thing our downsizer did was talk about everybody having too many coffee cups. So I bet we can all say we have too many coffee cups. So I want you to know that these are still available to you. If you don't have them, at the end of this, I want you to go back to Gina, who I could not have done this without her this year as well. She is on staff at Team Red and helps us to run the Downsizers Club as well as all the marketing for our listings. And she's a busy lady. So inside this binder is also a gift that that Team Red produced for you. It is a Downsizing Made Easy. Now, that might be overstating it, but we try and help make it easy. But this is a workbook to work through. So if you don't have this, let's say that you want to get this, but you'll just get everything else online and watch the videos online and look at the PowerPoint online. You would not have this. So we want to at least get this in your hand because truly it is a step-by-step workbook to start going through all the things that you have to think about when you've lived in your home a long time. Okay, so just a quick reminder. And today we also have a handout, and then we'll put it online through Brent and the Wesley staff that has all 12 months listed out. So the topics are right there and a little bit about what each topic focuses on. So while this 12 months of knowledge is all shared, it is not lost. And we want you to know that it is available to you. And I'm going to be, as I work with you in other capacities at project managing your senior transition, we're going to reference back to these events in this time. So Liz, you want to come up? There's a seat right here. Okay, so Stacey, will you help get a second seat for us? We have a full house here. That's a nice thing. So how many people do we have online, Brent?
22.
22 people online as well today. So welcome to all of you. Remember, you will be able to post questions in the online. We are going to hold our questions until the end. And with us here today are 3 families that have already taken all of the steps through their senior transition to move into Wesley. And from this side over to that side, let me introduce Arden and Carol Barden. And I'm going to tell a little bit about each family's specific circumstances. As Arden and Carol were looking at moving into Wesley, they had 2 properties. One was a rental property, a beautiful overlooking the river duplex in Spokane. And we actually helped them sell that one over there as well because it just worked out better to have a Team Red team helping them with that. They'll tell you a little bit more about that. But we sold that first so that they would have the funds from that for their down payment. Then when they got the call, and everybody waits for the call, right? And so they got the call, they said yes, and then we got them moved, packed, moved, and they did a lot of it themselves. They're going to be able to tell you about a lot that they did themselves. And then we moved them. They, by the way, beautiful gardeners. They moved right. They were kind of hoping they could get a little bit more of the harvest before they left their Enumclaw house. But they were taking care of that. A family bought their Enumclaw house, and then we closed on that as well. But we had them moved, then we staged the property and got that moved. So they had 2 properties that they needed to navigate in order to get that done. Linda is here with us today, Linda Campbell, and her husband, Ron, moved from the Federal Way area, but they, were waiting for the cottages, the newer cottages on the garden side here in Des Moines to be finished. And if you know construction, the date that it was supposed to be done and the date that it actually got done sometimes isn't always exactly the same. So they knew they were going to rent for a while. They wanted to go ahead and get sold while the market was still, we had lower interest rates. And they wanted to take care of that. So they moved into acute rental for a bit, probably a little longer than you'd originally thought it was, Linda. Ron is not able to be with us today because of he has other appointments. But Linda will, she actually kind of led the project anyway. So she'll be able to tell us about that from her home's perspective. And then on the other, and she's here at the Des Moines campus. She's in one of the cottages, beautiful. Vic and Ann Kaufman are also in Lee Hill. The Bardens are in Lee Hill and the Kaufmans are in Lee Hill. You guys both are in the Abbey Lodge, right? Okay, so you're in Abbey Lodge. Kaufmans are in Abbey Lodge, and Bardens, you are in one of the village homes, or are you in the Brownstone?
Brown.
Okay. And so lots of different options as people make their move into the different campuses. The Kaufmans were ready, set, go. We went on the market. Then did we have the call already? Did you know when you were going to move? Vic, did you know when you were going to move when we went on the market?
Yeah.
I think you did.
Yes.
But we didn't get your offer right away. But once you got the date of moving, we just went ahead and got you moved. And then we paused, staged the house, and finished it all up. So they did their own yard sale, estate sale, and had a very successful one. So, I'm going to start by handing off the mics. They've all seen the questions we're going to be answering, but I wanted to at least let you know a little bit about the differences of who we're going to have represented in the room today. I'm going to go ahead and go through the questions we've sent to you guys. Arden, will you start with what was your process for exploring retirement community options and what caused you to choose Wesley? And as this passes down, if you need me to repeat the questions, just let me know.
All right. Thank you. Well, that's the easiest one of all on here for me. As a clergy from basically Federal Way or Auburn all the way to the Canadian border, I was in and out of all kinds of facilities and care centers. And I was always impressed with the warmth of Wesley Lee Hill in the lodge and the way people cared for one another and the way the staff cared for the people. It was evident. And I said to Carol, that's where I want to go.
Do you want us to?
Yep.
Same question.
Okay.
Same question.
We also toured various senior housing. Renton, we were in the Infinity, and there was one years ago in Mercer Island. And we also toured all of the campuses of Wesley. We used word of mouth recommendations. We had a family experience. My brother's mother-in-law was 20 years here at Wesley Des Moines, lived to be 98 years old. And that was such a positive experience. It really impacted our choices. And then, of course, Arden's visitation.
Well, our process, we were living down in Federal Way, and we had a 2-story house. It was a lovely house and lovely neighborhood. But we could tell that my husband's health was changing. And so I knew if I was going to get any help from him, that we were going to have to move that year. And that was 4 years ago. And so the houses, the people on our street, there was a number of them who had moved and started renting the houses. And so we felt that it was really a time to sell also. So we didn't start out thinking that we were going to come to Wesley or even exactly what we were going to do. You might kind of say we jumped off a cliff because we knew where we were was not the right place. And so our daughter found a rental that was about a block and a half from where they lived in Normandy Park. So we really enjoyed living close to them, but we could tell that probably for family's sake, being a block and a half away was probably a little too close. And as the time went on, my husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And so when we started out, we didn't even realize that that was, in our future. And we had put our name in here at Wesley. And so that caused us, he said, no, I don't want to take care of another house, even if we get a Rambler. He said, I don't want to take care of another house. And so they were building the new cottages over here, and that was just a perfect fit for us. And actually living where we did in the rental, the people who rented to us were, in fact, they would have liked if we would have lived there for a lifetime because, where do you get renters like us? We didn't bang up their walls. So my husband's parents had been at a retirement center that's very close to here. So we considered that one and we considered Wesley. And what I liked about Wesley was more forward thinking. They had the Wesley U, they had activities. I like the way that they put people into communities so that I'm the representative for our community, which is 10 of the cottages. And when I finish here, one of the other people who are there is put together dinner for all of us. And so I like the way that Wesley did those things. And so that's what made us choose Wesley over someplace else in this journey that when we started, we just really didn't know where we were going to end up. We ended up here and we're really glad.
Hi, living in the Normandy Park and the Burien area, when we first decided it was time to size down and move on, we checked out many places and they weren't real happy places, and the people didn't seem happy or very active. There was no underground parking in a lot of places. And then we had friends over here in Wesley, Des Moines, so we decided to take a tour and we signed up over here to be in the other building. But then they told us it might be 5 years. Well, we were in our early 80s and we thought 5 years is too long. So we kept looking. And we came across Wesley Lee Hill, and we have family in the Auburn area. We weren't too impressed the first time because it was kind of dark and dingy over there. So we went back a second time with a different mindset and decided this is what it's supposed to look like. It's a lodge. It's not supposed to look like a retirement facility. The family that sold the property or gave it or whatever they did to Wesley, they wanted to keep it country-like, a lodge, and leave the trees and the ponds and the trails and everything. And that's what they did. And so we signed up over there also. We got a call a year later. We got a room. We're totally pleased and happy that we're there.
It's a tough decision. I wasn't ready, but I kept saying, I'm not going, I'm not going. I loved working in my yard. And then I started having some heart problems and I thought, oh, this can't last forever. So I guess I better change my mind. And so I did, and we started the moving process, and I'm extremely happy that we did. We got a lot of help, Kathy and her team. And it just made it so much easier. And when you finally decide it's time, it takes a real load off of you. And you can part with things that you didn't think you'd need to part with. You can move on in the stepping process and enjoy it. So we're really glad that we did that.
And keep the mic for a moment. I'm going to have you, then we'll come back this way
Okay.
with the next question. When you began the process of planning your move to Wesley, and your home sale, what initial concerns did you have?
Oh, staying busy. We were afraid that we would not have enough to do. And he's always been one to work in the yard, work on the house, paint it every year because we had a Rambler at that time. And I enjoyed the yard so much. And so we were afraid that we just would not find ourselves busy. And what do you do? You know, and we didn't know anybody over there at Lee Hill, and we didn't know the area. I mean, we came often to see his sister who lived there, but we never went to that part of Auburn that is Lee Hill. So that was new to us. So we were worried about doctors and dentists and all of that. Well, gosh, we're at the top of a hill, and at the bottom of the hill is all of that. So that's really not a huge concern. And Wesley has buses that will take you to doctor appointments and to Fred Meyer and to Covington, which we had no idea about Covington until we got there. And then we found out everybody goes to Covington. So it really has turned out very well. Everything that we have needed has been right there. And we're busy. There's a ton of things to do if you want to. If you don't want to, you just say, not doing that. So we have kept busy and have enjoyed it.
I can make this real simple. Planning the move, you just turn everything over to the red team, right? They have people who know everything and can do everything for you. It wasn't overly expensive. The
But you
main
were
thing is,
concerned about that when you first thought about
yeah,
it?
well, the
before
main
we
thing
met?
is to be ready. If you get those little projects done and be ready, so when your number comes up and you say yes, you can start the process. But the red team has so many resources, it's just unreal. And that helped us get through all the planning and everything. And so the only concern we actually had was are we ever going to sell our house? I mean, 4 or 5 weeks seems like forever when you're trying to get rid of it, but it really wasn't all that bad.
So they were on the market for 5 weeks. Does that sound like a long time? It's not a long time, but it can feel that way, right? So there was an era where, remember 2021, where houses, we could almost guarantee people we'd be in contract in a week. So that's not today, but we did have a good process that got them sold. So Linda?
When you began the process of planning and your home sale, what initial concerns did you have? I would say that one of my initial concerns was financial. Just to sell that house and be out of real estate made me very, very nervous, because that's a big part of anyone's wealth is their home and the appreciation that you get over the years. So that was a concern to me. I have to say now, 4 years later, I don't think about it very often. Just so it's kind of interesting, things that are right in your face. The other thing that concerned me was living someplace and having a monthly payment that was so high, and that will go up every year. And I can honestly say that it has been very manageable. It's kind of interesting how your lifestyle just kind of adapts to wherever it is that you have. And I have to say that we want for nothing. And so I would say financial, to be where we were, where we had I think what do we have, a 4-point interest rate on our home and that sort of thing. Just that was my biggest one. And I can tell you 4 years later, it's not a concern. It's okay.
Well, we were ready to say yes, but we were not ready to. We had been trying to be ready to downsize, but my main concern was downsizing. And we are still sort of at the end of downsizing, even though we moved into Lee Hill in July. everything Linda said about finances was also a concern for us. Um, we did agonize over what floor plan and size of unit was right for us, both desire-wise and finance-wise. So that was a concern, but yeah, I think that those are the main things.
Yeah, I concur with that. We had, as retired clergy, we're not wealthy people. And so finances were big question mark along the way. And I'd inherited this rental property from my mother when she passed away over in Eastern Washington. And I thought, well, that's got to be used as a resource to help this to happen. So the connection with the realty side of this really made a great resource. And the red team jumped in to help bridge our work over there, and also helped us to get a bridge loan to make up some of the difference as well. The other thing that was a concern is our families is away. Our son and family live in Louisiana. Our daughter and family live in Southern California. So we didn't really have quick at hand people, that we could call on and help give some things to and so on. So we were kind of by ourselves. And so we needed to find the group that would be able to give us that kind of support and guidance. And we found it.
All right. So the next question, were there roadblocks and surprises along the way that you had not expected? What were those? And what impact did they have on your plans? Arden, you want to start?
Yes, thank you. I didn't know quite how to respond to this. Really, the biggest thing was the timeline, because we noticed in the materials that this been so kindly put together, and that it's a 12-month span to do a decent start on downsizing. And we had really 4 months or less.
We had 6 weeks.
6 weeks really once we got the yes going. So it was, that's the biggest, I think, roadblock or surprise. And I think I'll leave it at that right now. Mm-hmm. You might have more.
One thing that complicated right at the time that we said yes, and we had 4 to 6 weeks to move in, we had some obligations on our calendar during that time that were non-negotiable. Arden was fulfilling a funeral service in Michigan. So we had to fly out there and do that for a close friend, and his aunt had 100th birthday party. You can't miss that. So that complicated our personal ability to devote during that time 100%. So the timeline just was a little overwhelming, but with the support help we got, we made it through.
I think the roadblocks and kind of what you're looking at for what was difficult for us is that when we sold our house, we were going to be moving into 1,000 square foot rental, and we really didn't know what we were going to be doing after that. So I'm looking at furniture that is scaled for a large home. And it's not going to fit into the rental. There's just no way. And so that was very difficult, because then we did move into Wesley, which is larger. It's 1,300 square feet, and it's big open spaces. And so I have to let go of the fact that I got rid of a lot of things that may have looked nice there. But I'm very thankful that my early years were in the Air Force. And when you move, you just don't take a lot of stuff with you. And so, I had a lot looser view to where my possessions, and I think a lot of people do that are living with their things for 50 years. And so that's been good. And the other thing is that with my husband having Parkinson's, actually less is more. You know, the less there is for him to bump into or to trip over, the better off we are. And so, you know, we just went with a whole different look where we're living now because of that, you know, a little more modern, cleaner look than what we had, you know, as a homey home type of place with 4 kids. So I have to say that was a roadblock. And then just not knowing what we were going to be doing, you know, there for, you know, a number of years. But, you know, it's all a part of the process, and it's all part of the process of life that God has given us. And so, you know, we just all have a different path.
Hey, the biggest surprise we had was our inspection report when we sold the house. When it came back, Kathy said, this is one of the cleanest inspection reports I've ever seen, except for one item. There's a flaw in the roof. But we had a new roof put on just a couple of years before we moved, and there was a major flaw in the roof. And she had to get on the phone and get this flaw repaired in a very short period of time so the deal would close. And they came out with a couple of guys, and they worked for 2 days repairing our brand new roof so that it would meet the inspection. And that was a real surprise because we had no idea. If we hadn't moved, we would have lived with that flaw for quite a while until we noticed it.
Well, I can't think of any real flaws. In fact, we were kind of lucky when we moved because we downsized. Everybody kept saying downsize. So we did. We really did. And then we moved to our 2-bedroom apartment and found, oh, that wall is empty. That space is empty. Oh, we could use that over there. So he kept going back to the house and bringing more stuff because we actually had room for it. And so that was nice to be able to do that. We hadn't just gotten rid of all that stuff. We still had it around where we could get to it. So it's hard to know what to take, what not to take, but you can do it.
All right, stay right there. So that whole downsizing idea. Next, please talk about the process of deciding what you were going to take with you and what you were going to do with the rest of your stuff. So,
well, I think I just answered that.
there you go.
Well, the first thing we did was we went over to Wesley and we found a unit that was vacant. And we took the tape measure and the pad and paper, and we measured all the corners and the rooms and everything and decided what would go where. And we had it pretty well figured out when it was our time to go. And we weren't collectors. We didn't collect antiques or anything like that. We lived pretty simple. So it wasn't hard for us to downsize. And no, actually, the 1,116 square feet rooms at Wesley Lee Hill have more space than you might realize because there's no hallways, there's no entryways, there's no furnace rooms or anything that count toward your square footage. You got 1,116 square feet in a 2-bedroom unit, and you can use all of it. And so that's a big plus.
I think what I would address is the storage unit. And I don't know if any of you are going to use the store. We did because we moved into a rental, so we had a storage unit. And so we stored things we thought we might use when we moved into, you know, a permanent place. And I would have to say that after, you know, a year and a half or 2 years, we could have bought everything, the storage unit, over again by how much the storage unit cost. You know, and I have a sense of humor about it because that's part of the, you know, figuring things out in life is not cheap. So I don't regret that we spent that much, but we did take the beautiful China hutch and we gave it to, who are the people in that take those things and sell them for the homeless.
Oh, did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
send it to Fusion?
Right. We gave it to Fusion, and that was okay. So I would just tell you, if you have a storage unit, just think about it, about how much the cost is going to be and how long you really want to, support the storage unit.
I want to underscore what Linda just said. Please make a note of that. We can't really tell people you're going to have that happen, but we really try to discourage a lot of storage units. They are expensive. So go ahead, Carol.
Okay. We really made great use of the seminar at the Downsizers regarding deciding what to keep, what to give, what to sell, what to donate, and finally what to discard. So that really gave us kind of a schematic process for that. The other thing that was very helpful for deciding what furniture to fit was the marketing person at Lee Hill gave us a diagram to scale of the apartment we were going to be moving into. Each square was a foot kind of thing. And we mocked up our furniture, and it really worked beautifully because when the furniture we had, we determined fit, and we did donate and get rid of 2 or 3 pieces of furniture, but we had that knowledge ahead of time by setting up the floor plan. So
I want to talk to you a little bit about personality difference and how we approach this. I don't know how many of you may be familiar with Myers-Briggs personality types, but the last of the 4 categories is perceiver on the one side and judger or decider on the other side. Well, perceivers see the big picture. And so I see all that needed to happen. I see future, I see past, I see a lot of things in what needs to go into this process. So the word process jumped out at me, and I discovered that it's really a kind of, as Carol outlined, a series of tasks. So Carol jumps into the picture and sees a high J, which is a decider, so she can make very quick decisions. She sees things quickly, and yep, that can go, even if it happens to be things in my drawer. So sometimes I didn't have some things I thought I had. So we had to work that out, and but the personality difference could be significant at times. I think it was for us. The additional thing I want to add is that people raised my age was very strong for me were people of the Depression time and World War II. And so people then taught us how to save and use and reuse, okay? And then things often got turned over to the next generation. Well, now we're all living longer. And so our children and sometimes even grandchildren they're doing okay where they are. And they neither want nor care for the stuff that we have or show interest. So life is a big difference. And so it left us with another place. Sometimes we thought, well, this might go there. That might be that person. No, it's not going to be the case. So the values also that got involved were not always dollar-based for us, but sometimes more meaning-based and more relationship-based. As a clergy, a lot of times when we'd leave a place, a lot of gifts would come. We finally, after being there for 4 months, we finally this weekend had a friend come in and help us put up pictures. So that's the last thing. We got about 2/3 of the pictures up, and realize that that's part of the joy of what life goes on and takes with us. So that's what I would give you is some more about personality difference.
All right. So each of you received some guidance through Wesley and the community relations directors. Was it helpful for Wesley to provide you with referrals to trusted senior transition specialists? And while you have the mic, was it helpful? Who helped you through this process, including the people at Wesley? And what did they do and how did they help?
Let's see. I think the Wesley people primarily came through the coordinator. What's
Community Relation Director?
Yeah.
Community Relations Director, yes. And so we called upon her quite often with question and answer kind of things, stopped by her desk, and that was helpful. But the relationship was strongly supported with the red team and also the real estate partnership.
Right-sizing.
And, you know, to do right size it, right downsizing, I guess, right sizing and downsizing. Still, the process for me was personal involved degrees of loss and grief and change and accepting and renewing. So that I just wanted to lift up that, yes, for me, there was a lot of grief and loss involved. And I think I'm still working with that.
Yeah, the partners that through the red team were invaluable to us. The three were the right sizing for seniors. We used portions of their services that really financially we did some of it ourselves, but we really leaned on them. I don't know if we could have made the move without them. We ended up, because of the timeline, we did not have the resources or the time to put up things for sale, you know, on various markets and that kind of thing. So the auction partnership was also very helpful. And then at the very end, the haul away thing, where that group came in and cleaned out the debris and the leftover trash and all that. So those were the partners that we leaned on.
And I'll ditto what Carol said about, we did have, I guess first thing I'll do is talk about Team Red, and I really do appreciate Kathy. The funniest thing is that we had to stage our house, of course, with things still in it. And like I said, our furniture was large. And one of my pictures is of Kathy, and at that point, my husband moving a very large couch. I wouldn't touch the couch, frankly. And I just started laughing because Kathy would really get herself involved with things and make things happen. And I appreciated that. My husband at that point was not able to really see processes through, that is to say, sequence. So that was left up to me at that point. And Kathy's help was really very vital in like having people come in and doing some repairs. Our surprise was when we had our inspection is that there were rats underneath our house.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, we sleep on the second floor and they're probably active during the night. And not only that, but I'm totally deaf in one ear. Probably we could have had a party down there every night and I would have heard it because that's what they said. They said, how could you not hear this? You know, there we are. So that, and Kathy brought someone in, you know, to take care of that too. So I would have to say Team Red was very, very helpful, especially in our situation of bringing in. And I found that all of the people who came in were kind, they were honest, and they may not have been the cheapest, but their you know, the charge that they had was very within the reason of what you would expect. And so I appreciated that with Team Red. That was a big help. We had Ruth Christian Smooth Transitions. We packed up most of the things in our house and had them ready to go. But the things like Smooth Transitions, what they did is they took our house and then they set up our house in our rental within one day. So, and that was just that just really helped everything because then at the end of the day, we could go from our house, our kitchen was set up, our bathroom was set up, our bedroom was set up. We didn't have them put up pictures and different things like that because we were a rental. The furniture was all in the correct rooms. The boxes were in the correct rooms. But that was a big help. And then also when we went from the Rento, which was in Normandy Park, to here, Ruth Christian came back and did the same thing for us. And I just have to say that was a huge help. And like, we're not free spenders, but that was worth every penny. And I was telling Carol, we have 4 kids, well, they're wonderful people, but how can I say this nicely? They're kind of there for a crisis, but they're not really there for packing my silverware and taking, you know what I mean? It was nice not to have to lean on them to do that also. And so, I appreciate that. So those are some things I think. I think the transition specialist just can be a peace of mind godsend. And if you are thinking of moving into a place where financially, you're going to be spending money here anyway, to do it in a way that is as gentle as possible. And everyone with Team Red and also with these transitions were so kind and, understood that, like you say, it's a great move, but it is a loss. You are leaving things behind, like your gardens and your, views and lots of things behind. And they understand this, and they're really supportive, so.
Well, the question is, was it helpful for Wesley to provide you with referrals and trusted senior transition specialists? And the truth is, Wesley didn't do that. It was the Red team that provided us with the referrals and the moving specialists that had us packed, moved, and unpacked. And all we did was go out and have lunch while they did all the work. But it really wasn't Wesley that did provide us with his help. It was the Wesley had our apartment in immaculate shape when it was time to move in. But as far as actually helping with the move, we were on our own to do that.
Hey, the best part was they even made our bed for us. So we were ready to go when we got there.
So go ahead and keep that, Ann. So you guys, did you have something more you wanted to say, Linda, on that?
Actually, I did ask Wesley, and they did refer, just like daughters, Corinne. What is Corinne's last name? It's a yes. And since our cottage was a little bare compared to all of you who brought your stuff in, from one place, she helped me bring that whole thing together with furniture and different things. So Wesley did refer. Who was here?
So just like
Rob.
daughters.
Yeah, Rob Latourette is the one who gave me her name.
Well, and I do want to say that the way that all of you learned about Team Red was through Wesley. So by the presentations that we've done or people that we've served along the way. So I'm forever grateful for our opportunity to be in front of all of you to let people know that not every realtor is the same, and the process is something that we're here to help you with. So the next question kind of covers some of that. Each of you have experienced Team Red's project management approach to senior transitions and their ability to coordinate inspections, contractors, packers, and movers for you. You've touched on that as you've gone down the line this time. Is there anything you want to add to that as it comes back down this way? And then we've got 3 more questions for you.
No, I don't think I have anything to add.
I'm not sure what to say that hasn't been said. It was the easiest move we've ever had. And, I wouldn't have done anything different.
I want to let people know that you may still have things that you need to downsize after you've been here for 2 years. We have, from my husband's side of the family, artifacts that are from the Civil War. And also, like 125 years ago that I had They were all framed in museum type framing and everything. And I haven't found a place to take them yet. And as has been said, our children have their own lives. They really don't want 5 by 3 foot um, museum pieces. And so, just give yourself some grace. It's just all a process.
For us personally, the only thing that would have lessened the stress would be to take maybe an extra day between the process of the packing and sorting, the auction, the dumping. But we were really kind of put in between we were already paying for our apartment at Wesley. So you're kind of caught with the tension of the finance and the logistic. But in hindsight, we would have taken an extra day just to lessen the stress.
The referrals that were made that were significant for us, I think most of all were in financial planning. The team was able to see that we didn't know or understand enough of what we could do with the resources we had, and so recommended a financial planner, and we followed up with that. They also continued to work with Wesley on through, and there probably was more there than we realized ongoing. It always impressed us very much that the creation of this program was a partnership. It came as a joint understanding that there are people on the waiting list who keep saying, no, we can't move. Why can't you move? Because we're not ready to move. And so that's the origins of this. And it was all a goal to help us all be ready, hopefully at a more optimum time than we might have had otherwise.
I'm going to combine the next two questions because we've begun the conversation about what would you have done differently. So in hindsight, what would you have done differently? And also then looking back, what advice would you give to others just beginning the planning process?
That's a tough question for me. I think we talked about, should we delay the house sale, but we realized that we were in the time of the summer marketing for real estate, and to risk losing 30 to 60 days probably wouldn't have been a very good choice. So we pressed on with that. I think just advice I've got written down, the best help is start with the red team relationship as soon as you can. Because all the things that have been said, I think, are meaningful and right on and helpful for moving together. I've got another suggestion, but I'll wait on that for later. So,
yeah, I guess just to relate and add on to what Arden said is that when you start immediately with the support of the red team and the partners, what it does is it gives you an outline or a way to approach the whole thing, and when you don't do that, we were overwhelmed with where do we start? What do we do first? What do we, focus on? So just, it breaks it down into management tasks.
Ron's parents moved from their home, and my husband is an only child, and we lived in the area with them, but they moved at a certain age to Justin Park. And the one thing that they said to us is, we wish that we had moved earlier, because by moving earlier, you can establish relationships where you're still feeling good and you can enjoy what there is there. So that was one thing that helped, that really helped us. And I guess the other thing is keep in step with the spirit. If the spirit is telling you you need to make a move or you need to take a step, all the resources are going to be there. You're going to be able to do it, but don't allow fear to keep you from listening carefully when the time is, when you hear something that you need to do.
We were lucky. I wouldn't have done anything different. The real estate market was good. The investment market was good. We found a place we really liked, and I don't think I would have done anything differently. We were at the age when it was time to size down, and so the timing was perfect, and it all went just fine.
I think the timing is really important. Everybody feels good now. You think you've got time. Next week, something could happen. You break your leg, you have a heart attack, you're diagnosed with something you hadn't planned on. It changes your whole life. So you have to do this when you're good, when you feel good, when you can still do things. And so don't be afraid, but we have several people that come to our place and they look at the units and they just think they're going to go sign up and get a unit. No, no, no. There's a waiting list. And so you can't wait for that waiting list to go down. You've got to get your name on wherever it is you decide to go. And so it's important that you really give it some thought and move on that.
Go ahead and keep that. So this last question, before it turns over to you guys with questions and answers, is to look at now that you're at Wesley. Okay. So, and now that you're at Wesley, what pleasant surprises have you realized?
Well, I was a real sewer. And when we sized down, I thought, oh, I won't have room for my sewing machine and all of that. So I left it and just got rid of it. And then I got to Wesley and people say, do you sing? Do you play cards? Do you play the piano? Do you dance? And I'm going, no, 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 no. And finally, I went to a quilting meeting and they said, oh, and I said, well, I don't have a sewing machine, but I just came to see what you're doing. She said, I have a sewing machine for you. And they make quilts for the homeless children at our particular Wesley. And I said, oh, I'm really not a quilter, not interested in that little tiny stuff. So she said, well, we do pillowcases. I said, oh, now you're talking. So I am the pillowcase lady. I make maybe 30 a month, and we take them to a children's society in Tacoma. And it makes me feel great that I'm doing something that's helping somebody else. And it gives me something to do. If I've got a half an hour, I can run to the sewing machine. If I have an hour, I run to the sewing machine. And I don't really have a good place. So I have this long closet. So I have my ironing board set up, and then I have my sewing machine on top of it. And I just sort of switch from the iron to the sewing machine, and it works fine. And I enjoy it. So be prepared to do things that you never thought you would do. Get involved in what you want to be involved with, and enjoy the time.
The biggest surprise is how active and busy we are at Lee Hill. You just don't move in. You can, but you don't have to just move in and sit in your apartment. The sales staff will tell you that Lee Hill is a cruise ship on land. We have something going almost every day of the week. We started Friday night movies. We started a Pinochle Club. There's a handful of different card games that people have started in the last couple. You just stay busy all the time. And I was really surprised. I was wondering what we do with all of our time. Well, we're active and we do a lot at Lee Hill.
I would agree with you. Is, open yourself up to some new things. I never had thought of myself as an artist, but I've been doing watercoloring and taking classes here. And then we're in a 10 group cottages as our community. So two ladies come over and we're doing friendships on Tuesday nights. We do watercoloring together, bring our projects. Someone asked me to be a part of the interviewing, so I interview people. And, there's just a lot of fun things that you can do. And then one thing that has been just a delight for me is that no one else wanted to be representative of our 10 cottage, so I was elected since no one wanted to do it or was willing or whatever it was. And it has just been a joy to watch our 10 cottages go from a collection of people to a community that cares about one another and is involved in each other's lives. So like I said this afternoon, Liz and Jim and ourselves are going to go over and have a Thanksgiving dinner at someone's house tonight.
Well, I think I knew there would be a transition of lifestyle, and there has been. It's the pleasant surprise is what a short timeline that we were received in. We live in the Brownstone, which is a 12-unit building, and I am surprised at how quickly I feel a part of that living space.
Mm-hmm.
The people received us in since day one, and we've become acquainted. In time, it'll be a more depth of friendship, but it's just like Linda says, it's a community, and I really appreciate that.
Well, a pleasant surprise for me was that they have a chaplain. As a retired clergy, it's, are you willing? Are you available for? And so they have a chaplain. So I don't have to be on the alert for being called out for different things for different folks. It was, we've got a person there whose job is fulfills that. They have all kinds of athletic equipment and a pool and exercises. And Carol she does swimming, aerobics, and the cardio workout. I'm going to get started on some of those pretty soon, but I like to play pickleball, but they don't have a pickleball court. So we have to I have to go into Kent Commons, or I'm going to look at the new place there that's put up a large facility in Auburn and see if they have a particular time in the middle of the day for seniors. We were very, very pleased at the work we did to organize our clothes and our furniture. Came out almost to a T. We only took one item back to put in the auction, and we sold one couch that we decided would be too long and wouldn't be able to use, and we put something in its place. And we're going to purchase what they call a chair and a half hide-a-bed. We thought if we have a guest for a grandson or great-grandson, rather, or whoever else might come. But then we thought later on, with that in our living room, if one of us is ill for a few days, that's right in front of the TV. So we can take care of each other in some ways then. Well, I think that just as has been said many times, that the staff and the programming and the people of the community are all just very interested and welcoming, and it's just really it's really the kind of thing that interested me in the beginning. It was the warmth that I felt in the atmosphere and in the people. And so it's been real. It's been real for us in this process.
All of you guys, thank you so much. Each of you have brought different ideas to the program and answering those questions. Absolutely, round of applause. So we're going to open it up for a couple of minutes of questions. Can we stay online for a couple minutes? All right. I'm going to start in the room. Are there questions inside the room? And what's going to happen is you'll say the question. I will repeat the question so they can hear it online. Okay. Anybody have questions? And you can specify which person you want to have answer it or make it open. Okay. All right.
called, are there several units to choose from? And how do you choose? I mean, do you choose by size, price, if it has a view? Was that a hard thing?
I'm going to bring a Wesley person up for that question. Okay, you want to go ahead, Vic? Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
We got a call and there were two-bedroom units available. A nice 2-bedroom unit on the 3rd floor that I liked, and a nice 2-bedroom unit on the 2nd floor that my wife liked. We have now lived for 2.5 years on the 2nd floor.
And he's happy.
He's happy. I do want to add to that, Christine, permission to just say what I know. Okay. So if you're wanting to find out how you can get called faster, okay, then let your community relations director know all of the units you would consider, because they look at you being on the wait list and the things that you've said you want. So when they have that unit available, they're calling down the list of the person that's been on the list the longest that wants that kind of unit. So take a look at all those units again, kind of do an inventory for yourself. The other thing is, for those people who've been on the list for a very long time, if your health is changing and you need to look at a different kind of unit, like you don't necessarily want a village home in Lee Hill, but you want to get into Abbey Lodge, you need to let your community relations director know that. So be in communication. And you can start by doing an email saying, I'd just like to make sure you have all the units that I'd be interested in. Does that sound okay? Because then you'll get calls on more of them because you're expressing an interest in more of them. Okay? Fair? Okay.
Actually, can I add?
Yeah, of course you can. So I knew I was only starting it.
I'm going to stand behind you so that they can actually see me online, okay?
Okay.
So, first of all, I'm going to call them apartments or accommodations,
Okay.
because it just sounds a little bit nicer than unit.
Yes.
But when we have apartments available, what we've been doing here at Des Moines is, like we have a 1-bedroom available right now in the gardens, and it's on the 1st floor and it does not have a view. And most of the people who are on the waiting list want to have a view. So what we've done, we have 390 families on our waiting list at Des Moines. Now that doesn't mean that there's 390 people ready to make a move. So what we're doing, and to try to call down a list and call everyone on the list, that is just overly burdensome, and it leaves the apartments vacant for too long of a time. So what we're doing is we're emailing. If you're on the list for a 1-bedroom apartment in the gardens, we're going to email the list of folks who are on the list for a 1-bedroom in the gardens and ask you to respond to us, usually within about a week, if you are interested. And then we will start offering it to the people who've responded. So it's really important that if you, that we have an email on file for you so that we can contact you by email, and that you're not like me with my personal email. That's my personal email, not my work email, but not like me where I don't look at my personal email. How many of you look at your personal email all the time? Most of you do. That's good. That's good. I have a hard time getting to it. But you'll want to be checking. And oftentimes it may be that right now I have a 1-2-bedroom apartment in the terrace that we're working with the wait list on. And then we have a 1-2-bedroom apartment in the garden that we're working the wait list with. So we don't always have more than one available to offer at the time. But the more you're in contact with your team, the community relations team at your community, the more they know what you're interested in. Yeah.
So the process of what you just spoke about, you contact, what is the time frame that they have to decide? So say you call Linda and you say, I have this 2-bedroom, come look at it.
Yeah.
And she's got what, 72 hours, something to decide, and then you move?
Christine, will you repeat the question for the
Yeah, I
online?
will. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great question. So the question is, how much time do you have to decide? If you're offered an apartment, your name comes up on the list, we show you the apartment, how much time do you have? And we do ask for a response within about 3 days, 3 business days, because we'll still be showing it to others. But remember, we're trying to reassign that apartment as soon as we can. So usually it's about 3 days. Yeah. Dick, yeah.
You have a guess of when they're going to open reservations at Spring Glen?
Oh, great question. Okay, the question is, when are we going to start opening reservations for Wesley Spring Glen in Renton? And as you know, my crystal ball has not been very good. So I know whatever I say, you're not going to believe me. I know you have. And you're fortunate. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to start the reservation process next year. Right now, we're targeted to start construction on Spring Glen in the spring of 2027. Yeah. Yeah. Next year, we have the Creekside building here that will be built east of where we are right now. Where the care center, the old care center is, that is coming down, and we have a new Creekside building, which is like the brownstone lifestyle. That is, you don't have a meal plan. Your housekeeping is once a month. It's about 100 apartments, a little over 100 apartments, 4-story building, over 1 level of parking. And that one will probably start taking reservations on shortly after the beginning of the year.
When do you expect that to be open?
And so the question is, when will the Creekside building be open? I'm not sure. I'm guessing right now at about that the construction's going to be about 18 to 20 months. We'll know more. We actually have a meeting with the city this week, and we'll know more after that. Yeah. Okay.
Being that is behind these buildings, will that new building have a view at all?
That's a great question. The question is, will the Creekside building have views at all? I don't know yet. We're hoping to get a drone out so that we'll send the drone up and see. Once we get it marked out, we'll test it and see if there's. No, it's flat, but I don't know. There's a potential there for some, but it's 4 stories over 1 level of parking. Yeah. But a question in the back?
I had a comment.
Yeah.
We have a number of friends that have been on the waiting list for here at Des Moines for over 2 years
Mm-hmm.
and still
Mm-hmm.
haven't been called. And we're like, well, maybe we should just give up and look someplace else.
So the comment is that we have a number of friends who have been on the list for 2 years or over 2 years, and they have not been called. And I will respond that it depends on what they're waiting for. If you're waiting up for a top floor apartment with a view, it's going to be a lot longer. If you are willing to take something that does not have a view or that's on the 1st or 2nd floor, you could probably move in within a year. Because everybody on the list is waiting for a top floor apartment with a view. Yeah. I have a question in the back.
Actually, not a question. I was
Oh.
going to respond to what she said.
Mhm.
We've been on the list at Bradley. We put our name on the list at Bradley before even knowing.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But they never called us
Oh,
because we said, we're probably not interested until like 5 years.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just went in and talked to our community relations. They said, okay, I said, we signed the contract. And we're looking at 2 to 3 years. So that changes, and
Mhm.
that changes when and we're looking for these things. And so we've talked with her. And
Great.
that altered.
Okay.
She said that would alter when she would contact.
I want to repeat a little bit of
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So if I can respond, if I get anything wrong, please let me know. But what you're saying, you're on the list at Bradley Park. And when you got on the list, it was before it was even built. And you waited for 5 years. You said, we're not going to be ready. So they didn't contact you because you had indicated that you weren't ready yet. And sometimes if you do that, we won't call you because that's what you've told us. So it's really important for you to reconnect with us, which it sounds like you did. Now, did you sign up for the new brownstone?
No,
Okay.
we did not, but we said, we gave them the thing in terms of options.
You gave
This
them,
is option one.
okay.
This is option two, this is option.
So you reconnected and you've reestablished what you want to be called for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're probably in a really good position because you planned really early. Yeah. Great. Okay.
All right, you guys, any question?
I have a question, and I don't know which of the panelists wants to respond to this. My sense is that your monthly budget when you're living in a rental or in your home looks a lot different than your monthly budget after you move into one of the apartments at Wesley. And I would just be curious to know if you had issues around that, if it was what you expected, if there were any surprises in terms of the cash flows and just what it costs to live on a monthly basis.
So let me go ahead and paraphrase the question so that we have our online people hearing it too. And correct me if I need to modify that, is that when you're thinking about the budget that you have for your home and your rental, or, if you're renting versus what your budget's going to be inside or the costs are going to be once you move to Wesley, were there surprises when you made that change?
Any challenges managing that change or that process?
Any challenges managing that change? So the Bardens?
Yeah, I can speak directly to that because that was a big activity on my part between us. What I did was we lived in a 2-story home that we'd owned for 5 years in Enumclaw. And what I did was I took the mortgage amount per month, added everything that was included in Wesley, utilities, garbage, cable, internet, everything was included. And it came when we first were on the list and we were going to take a little bit smaller apartment, it came very close to the monthly amount. So I felt good about that. Now, by the time we had looked at several different apartments and between the lodge and the brownstones, we did end up in a larger apartment than we originally thought. So that created a disparity. But slight. We're still managing it. We're still happy with that, but it stretched us a little bit. But I think that's a good exercise to go through to know how much more. And the extra is because you're paying Wesley for all the amenities, all the extras, that they provide. So I didn't feel like Wesley was overcharging us. I just felt like we were reaching for a different lifestyle.
She got a degree in business education. So, it didn't take long for her to add up the numbers. And when it came within $1,000, we realized that this is doable. And so we probably have some downsizing on expenses to do, but we're hoping to manage the finances over a longer time so that we'll be able to cover that. I wanted to respond to the view thing because we moved to Enumclaw and we're in a development out there. And of course, you've got in most places in Enumclaw, and as you drive there and out toward there, you've got marvelous views of Mount Rainier. The house we bought, we have had a nice view from the second floor on the bedroom to rural landscape and open, deer and wildlife and just pleasant view. But it wasn't Mount Rainier because the neighbors' tall trees on the other side of the backyard blocked the view. But we had lots of view coming and going. All we needed to do was go outside and go down the street a little bit when we saw a lot of Mount Rainier. So I would encourage people to consider how important is the view, to look out sideways. We toured new facility here, and I thought, I don't know that that's important to me enough. It may be that you've got downtown. One of our favorite places to go when we come over here often is Wally's. And so, and actually you can't see much view from Wally's. So that may be overemphasized in our value system.
Each person has to.
Each person has to decide that, yeah.
Anybody else want to comment on the cost comparison that when you did a cost comparison of moving over? Did any of you use the sheet that Wesley provides to do that comparison?
I did.
You did? I knew you would have. Yeah, yeah. So there is a handout. Yes.
Then you have your high property taxes.
Yes, that's part of it. Definitely.
Yeah. You have to factor in all those expenses, right? Insurance, property taxes, repairs, future repairs. When are you going to have to replace the roof, right? So some of those things.
We do purchase rental insurance, however. And there was an incident in our building, a small fire, but and that so we double checked how much.
Oh, sorry.
How much do we have?
This
Okay.
has to be for the online.
Okay. Yeah, we have purchased rental insurance, and we are glad we did, and we checked how much. We're going to check more when we learn expenses involved in this situation of fire in the building. Very small one, but there was some smoke damage and so on, and for in that floor, and so that's the only expense I think that we've carried forward. I can't think of what else.
So did anybody else specifically want to talk about the finance comparison? Okay. Because I think want to make sure people have the opportunity to respond to that. And then I've got you in the back.
The Bardens and us live at Lee Hill. So we really know Lee Hill. However, they're in the brownstones. We're in the lodge. We get our meals provided. She has to cook. So if you're figuring too, your food budget, we don't have a food budget. I go to the store maybe once a month, and so that's a little different too that you would have to consider. And the other thing I just want to add while I'm thinking about it, if you happen to bring too much stuff with you, we didn't know this before we moved, but I think all of the facilities have a boutique, a rummage sale area, whatever. And we have a nice one at our place, and you can take stuff downstairs and put it up for sale. You don't get the money, but it goes to Wesley and is used for you in other ways. But anyway, it's a good thing if you come up with a picture you don't really need or doesn't fit, take it down there. You don't have to part with everything before you leave. You do have an option.
Okay, great. All right, I'm going to go to the back here for another question.
I've been on the waiting list 2 years and I've had opportunities, but I'm not ready to move in. But sometimes I wonder, can I actually afford it? Would that be a question for someone at Wesley, or would I see an outside financial advisor?
So the question is what's the process of analyzing whether I can afford to move in? She's on the wait list for a couple of years. She's not ready to move yet. But, what is there help within Wesley to look at that cost comparison, or is there outsourced resources? And Christine's going to take this.
So as part of your application, and I hope everybody has completed an application, we'll be checking in with everyone on all of our waiting lists beginning of the year about the applications, making sure we have up-to-date applications, which includes some financial information. And we take that financial information, we can plug that into a spreadsheet that we have that takes many assumptions into account based on life expectancy and also what is a reasonable expectation with regard to care needs going forward. And then all of that then is put into a worksheet that helps us identify if that's going to be a comfortable place for you what you want is going to be a comfortable place for you to afford. So if it's a 2-bedroom or a 1+ or 2+, cottage, brownstone, village home. So we'll work with you on that. Definitely make sure, because we want everyone to be successful when they make their move to Wesley.
What campus are you here? Okay.
Yeah.
So afterwards, you want to connect with the ladies that are here and get that appointment set. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Other questions? Are there questions online? Okay.
I think there was one question. Should I address that, Tessa? Okay, there was one question, Kathy, and it had to do with the relationship between Team Red, Kathy Kleber, and Team Red and Wesley.
Okay.
And I will just say that I've known Kathy since, when did your mom move in? Did I meet you when your mom moved in?
Yes, yeah, 23 years ago.
In 23 years ago. So I moved Kathy's mom into a cottage here at Wesley Des Moines. And ever since then, Kathy has just been a huge proponent of Wesley, all of Wesley, and helped us with our redevelopment on this campus. The relationship is definitely one as a business partner who basically has been there to help to help those residents who choose to work with her to make their move to Wesley. And then, of course, providing this really wonderful content for us for the Downsizers Club this year. So Kathy's done a lot for Wesley, but also for the folks who've moved in. We have lots of business partners too that we work with. We have some other realtors that our campuses work with, and each one has a list of business partners. We have downsizers, including Tessa's mom is Karen from Just Like Daughters, and then of course the right sizing folks. So the relationship with Team Red and Wesley is one of as a business partner supporting all of you.
So the Downsizers Club is our commitment to education. What we find out in community is that so many people don't understand that there are ways of approaching this project where it's a supported process. And so here in this room and for all of our campuses for Wesley, we just want you to know that you have choices and that you have these resources, no matter who you're interviewing. We love throwing our hat in the ring, but we also understand, if your daughter is a realtor, and we've had somebody that was, you're not going to go to Thanksgiving if you haven't hired her. So, but there's all these other resources, right? So we want you to know that we love being strategic partners with Wesley. My mom lives here. She's still running around. I don't even know where she's at right now. She's so busy. So
she's probably out with my mom.
Yeah.
So who also lives here.
Yes. So we're just, we believe in it. We believe in the lifestyle that's available here, and we want to support you in that process. So I want to thank our panelists today, Vic and Ann Kaufman. Linda, say hi to Ron for us, Linda and Ron Campbell, and Arden and Carol Barden. Thank you for bringing your insights to this today. I think you'll be able to mingle around. There is still snacks outside for those of you who are online. You're not going to get any of those, but you guys, we're still, the 12 months of downsizing program is going to be a little bit different as we head into January. It looks like we're going to do in each campus, or there's going to be different things in each campus this next year, at least quarterly. And we're not going anywhere. We're going to still be around and helpful, but you're also going to get to meet some other folks as well. So we look forward to having you. Again, there's a lot of you in this room that don't have your binders. Please go back and meet up with Gina and let's set an appointment and I'll get you the binder. And for those of you who still are looking for some of the inserts inside of it, just take with you the sheet here, and we're going to send, Brent is going to send out, and the marketing department's going to send out the QR code and the URL that you can get online, watch any of these events again. refer it out to the other people on the wait list. And please keep this information in front of you and alive as you are starting down this process. We're just a phone call away. Thank you so much.